Okay, Kay from KCM, here we are, and I have a lot to talk about, and I'm probably going to try and do it in a few different videos because it's a lot. And I'm trying to truncate the time it takes for some of these videos so I don't lose my audience in their interest. All three of you. I did find out one of my club members is actually watching these videos, so I have to be a little bit more studious in terms of what I'm saying because I know he'll hold it against me in the future. That one guy. On that note, the first topic I'm going to discuss is the tasting I just did. If you watched my latest video on my tequila tasting, I talked about the different bottles I bought and why, and kind of my thoughts on them. Some of them mistakes I made and what have you. And I wanted to kind of reflect on what that tasting was like because I gave you the preemptive, here's what my thoughts were, and then we got to something else. Kind of, talking about the tequila and the mezcal and the sotol. Now let's talk about, okay, I had a vision in mind. I tried to execute it, what actually happened. And the first thing to take note of is I was wrong. I was wrong about one fundamental thing. And that's where this comes in. This is Bozal, and I'm not going to try pronouncing it. Yes, I am. Kushi? See, if it wasn't like Spanish, assuming it is Spanish, I feel like I'd be more confident on the pronunciation. But because it is and it doesn't sound like a Spanish word, it just feels weird. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this a little bit, and I'm going to be drinking a nip of it while I do, and there's a cat trying to jump up on my lap. I was convinced, after trying this for the first time, this was going to be the star of the show. I ended up with 7 different bottles. I know I talked about 5, but I ended up finding 2 more, kind of like a precursor tasting tequila, which was El Mayor Blanco. And then I had a generic mezcal that I had received as a gift, which I brought as a baseline before trying Bozal. Bozal was this 47%. Mezcal, it's very well crafted, it's very clean tasting, and it's complex, and it has depth, and it lasts. And even just smelling now, waft in the air, it's really nice. And so I wanted to talk about this because I already said this, but I was certain that this was going to be the star of the show, and it wasn't. It was interesting. People enjoyed it. But I always like to ask at the end of my tastings, what was your favorite thing you tried tonight? And resoundingly, the 2 that were most prominent were, 1, the sotol with gold flakes in it that I talked about, Hacienda de Chihuahua. And then the Chardonnay cask, El Mayor. And I will preface that both of those beverages, both of those spirits, were catered more towards the pleasant experience and not the enthralling, complex, engaging experience. However, my club specifically tends to lean towards some combination of both of those things. That's the personality I have. And that's why I felt like this would have enough. It is smoky, but the smokiness is far more light and kind of clean. I don't want to say it's minty because it's not, but it does have, I kind of described it as that like ginny type herbal essence to it. It's kind of got that refreshing, clean smelling, but still smoky. So it's not pine smoke quite. It's not quite juniper berries, but it's kind of teetering in those herbs and spices that you might taste in a gin type atmosphere. And along with that, it balances that with some other nice spices, with some clean, very nice agave. It's not the thick, syrupy agave taste you get out of some mezcals or some tequilas. It's light. It's delicate, but it's still, the whole thing is very complex, very engaging. And I was certain that that was going to be the star of the show. I was certain that that was going to make things happen. And nobody kind of, I don't want to say nobody, but the majority of the people did not reference this as their favorite whiskey. I didn't even hear it much as an honorable mention, which was interesting. Everybody enjoyed it. Most enjoyed it, but it didn't quite hold its own compared to the others. I still find it to be my favorite, and it also, I think, is definitely the highest quality buy per dollar. I sell bottles after my tastings. Sell as in people can buy them off me for a discounted price, so basically like what we didn't drink. Don't go after me, Michigan. But this one wasn't bought, and it's really interesting, and I learned a lot from that tasting in terms of what people are after, what people experience. But I think overall, if I think about what that tasting was like for everybody else, I think it was monumentally successful because it did offer such a wide variety of things for everybody, and I think that's really great. But this was still way better than those other ones. And everybody's wrong except for me, and that's the moral of the story. Yeah. I'm going to leave this video here because, again, I want these to be more succinct sound bites. I wanted to report that the tasting was good. Everybody found things really interesting. And I'm trying to think of any real highlights in terms of takeaways people had. I think people found Sotol very interesting in the sense that finding that different style. There was one Sotol that was kind of smokier and more mezcal-like, and there was one Sotol, the Oro Puro, that was less so that way. It was a cleaner, drier type of experience, and that could have been a combination of the way that they decided to take care of the plant and also the triple distillation. I think seeing that contrast really let people know how much or compare the play of the actual spirit itself and the treatment of the base before it becomes a spirit. So that was really fun. And seeing the difference, the first mezcal, and the reason I'm not naming is because I don't remember the name of it, but first mezcal was really interesting, but it was rougher. It was more like it had that kind of peaty smoke, and somebody in particular was really turned off by what they described as kind of like a grassy or like a horse stall type, like hay, right? Hopefully not horse poop, but it did get mentioned. I didn't sense it, but yeah. So somebody really got turned off by that, and then the Bozal was a really different experience from that mezcal. So getting to see these different perspectives is always really interesting, especially as somebody who's tried a plethora of things and is generally more positive than negative about the experience, as long as there's some complexity or some value, some merit to that. So anyway, that's that. I have 2 more videos I think I'm going to make. I might make it 1 video. We'll see. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we will keep posting videos as best I can. Yay.